Bible prophecy is active and unfolding daily. Zechariah 12, Isaiah 17, Psalm 83, Ezekiel 38. Here is what the LameStream Media is not telling you. Shalom, my friends. Welcome to this week's newscast. From WSVN Miami, federal agents arrested a man who, sources said, was planning to throw an explosive device into a South Florida synagogue. According to law enforcement sources, the FBI set up a sting to thwart what they described as a terror attack at the Aventura Turnberry Jewish Center on Friday evening. Agents posing as terrorists were able to stop the suspect, who they said may have converted to Islam. From the Daily Beast, U.S. Special Operations Forces have quietly killed 40 key ISIS operatives blamed for plotting deadly attacks in Europe and beyond. The U.S. counter-terrorist mission is credited with crippling ISIS efforts to recruit foreign fighters and carry out more plots like the deadly assault on Paris that killed 130 last fall. Most of the ISIS targets were killed in Syria by combat aircraft, but also by troops who attempted to capture a handful of high-value ISIS targets, and all of those targets resisted arrest and were killed. Ezekiel 38, Psalm 83. Great tensions are building over the Golan Heights, where there lies a potential of billions of barrels of oil. From the New York Times, UN Security Council President Ambassador Liu Jie of China said, after a closed meeting last Tuesday, that the Council's 15 members had, quote, expressed their deep concern over recent Israeli statements about the Golan and stressed that the status of the Golan remains unchanged, close quote. He emphasized that Resolution 497 of December 1981 states that, quote, the Israeli decision to impose its laws, jurisdiction, and administration in the occupied Syrian Golan Heights is null and void and without international legal effect, close quote. Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu asserted that, quote, the time has come for the international community to finally recognize that the Golan Heights will remain under Israel's sovereignty permanently, close quote. From Ynet News, the Israel Foreign Ministry responded to the UN Security Council's announcement regarding the Golan Heights, saying, quote, the Security Council's announcement ignores the reality in Syria. Who is Israel supposed to negotiate with about the future of the Golan? Islamic State? Al-Qaeda? Hezbollah? The Iranian and Syrian forces which have slaughtered thousands of people? In view of the war raging in Syria and the stability and security of the Golan Heights that Israel has established over nearly 50 years, the suggestion that Israel will leave the Golan Heights is unreasonable. Close quote. From the Times of Israel, a senior Israeli official told Channel 10 last Wednesday that the IDF would strike an ISIS-affiliated group operating near its border with Syria if there were any indications the jihadist group was testing or using chemical weapons. Israeli defense officials are concerned that the Yarmouk Martyrs Brigade may have recently acquired chemical weapons which once belonged to the Assad regime. The report noted that the jihadist group was preoccupied with fighting other factions in the Syrian civil war and was not currently concerned with Israel. Note, it's believed that Saddam Hussein's stash of chemical weapons is being stored beneath Damascus. Here we go with Isaiah 17, my friends. If Israel strikes Damascus, and those chemical weapons are indeed sitting there, Damascus would surely then be described as a ruinous heap. Isaiah 17:1. Now, I'm sorry to report, my friends, that this YouTube channel is now unmanageable due to a complaint someone made last Thursday about a video I uploaded in September of 2015 titled, "What If I'm Left Behind?" Someone reported something about the video to YouTube. YouTube alerted me to it on Thursday. I appealed it, and YouTube got back to me the next day saying we looked at it again, and we're still maintaining the strike. They will not divulge any reason for the strike. They won't tell me what it was that I did to break YouTube rules. But for the next 6 months, I cannot upload any videos that are more than 15 minutes in length. Further, I'm unable to create custom thumbnails for any videos now. And if someone is trying to attack my channel and they create another strike against me in the future that I'm again unable to appeal, and, I was unable to communicate on any level at all with YouTube. There's no way to respond via email. I can't get anybody on the phone to talk to them. They just say, we decided this, bang, Well, who can complain? YouTube is free. I don't have to pay a dime for this account. So they can do anything that they want, and I can't say anything. But again, if somebody does another strike, then I'd be limited for yet another 6 months. And as you know, my videos are never 15 minutes or less, even the news. Now, strangely enough, because I have another YouTube channel, which I created years ago for my website designs, which I used to make a living building websites, but I stopped that 3 years ago when I came home from the hospital. I had been out of commission for long enough that I just didn't have any work, and many of you, my friends, started supporting me, and I said, well, this is what I've been praying for. I just want to do the Father's work and present it on YouTube, and that's what I've been doing. So, I stopped building websites, and this other, it's youtube.com/GetAlanWebsites. So I have that other channel. It's in good standing. So I'm able to go over to that channel, and I can upload videos that are as long as I want them to be. I can create custom thumbnails and everything on that channel. The whole thing is really ridiculous because, if I can do it on another channel, what's the sense to the whole thing? YouTube's crazy. I really want to build a channel elsewhere. At any rate, you're watching this newscast right now because I'm able to employ my other channel, and that's where you are presently. And I'm asking you now to please give me your support while you're here, to click the red subscribe button that you see just beneath the bottom left of this video. And I would also greatly appreciate it, even more so, if you went over to vimeo.com/watchalan. and click the follow button there. You'll see that button on the left side of my channel on Vimeo at the top, just below my picture. And again, I urge you to show me your support, especially on Vimeo.com, where I've paid for a pro account, have no limitation on video sizes or anything like that. And over the next few weeks, I'm going to be uploading all my older videos, creating a look for the channel, learning how to organize things and create a nice channel there, and hoping that we can recreate our community there. I think that would be best. But I really need your support. I need you to go over there, vimeo.com/watchalan, click the follow button. Let me see that you're all coming over in the kind of numbers that I've been seeing here on YouTube. Once I see that, then I know that we're secure there. Everybody's there. We're building community there, and you just forget about YouTube. We'll see how it goes. Until then, I'll be, doing this on my other YouTube channel. In fact, this newscast is over on my Vimeo channel as well. When I upload videos, I'll be doing it to this alternate YouTube channel I have, and over to my Vimeo channel there, and working both of them until I see how you are reacting. Turning to wars and rumors of wars. From the Washington Post, violence has escalated in Syria throughout the month of April, leading the opposition last week to suspend participation in UN-run political talks in Geneva. At least 90 people, including more than 24 women and children, have been killed in just 4 days last week in shelling and airstrikes by the Russian-backed Syrian government on rebel-held zones in Aleppo. From Reuters, Iran's oil exports to South Korea have more than quadrupled to 400,000 barrels a day since international sanctions were lifted this past January. So aside from all that money that Iran received, now we hear this, which can only add to the furthered escalation of aggression towards Israel and America, my friends. IHS Jane's Defense Weekly from the UK tells us on April 21st, UK Royal Air Force combat aircraft operating out of Cyprus dropped a pair of bunker buster 2,000-pound precision-guided munitions onto ISIS facilities in Iraq. The Ministry of Defense said, quote, "The tornadoes flew as part of a coalition airstrike on a large complex of tunnels and bunkers dug into terraced hillsides above the Euphrates in western Iraq, successfully scoring direct hits on 2 entrances to the bunker network." On Wednesday, April 27th, from CNN, an airstrike that hit a hospital in Syria killed 27 people, including children, and one of the last few pediatricians in Aleppo. Al-Quds Field Hospital was hit by a missile from a fighter jet. It's unclear whom the fighter jet belonged to. And on Friday, April 29th, from Fars News, the Syrian military is reportedly readying for an assault on the city of Aleppo. Syrian military sources cited by Iran's Fars News said, quote, "The large-scale operation to wipe out the militancy in Aleppo province is expected to start in the next 10 days. Fresh recruits in large groups are heading to Aleppo from the coastal province of Latakia," close quote. There's been a lot going on around Aleppo, we've seen in recent weeks. The Syrian army's 4th Mechanized Division sent a large number of its troops and military hardware to Qaryatain. The 43rd and 63rd Brigades of the 4th Mechanized Division from Damascus have been redeployed to the eastern part of Kalamun. The 64th Regiment of the Syrian Army's 4th Mechanized Division and Desert Hawk Brigades, Liwa Sukur al-Sahra, will also join the 43rd and 63rd Brigades in the eastern Kalamun. This looks pretty big. Approximately 4,000 to 4,500 military men of the Syrian army are currently present in East Kalamun, and the number will surely increase in the coming days. We'll be watching for that. Then on Saturday, April 30th, from the blaze, ISIS claimed responsibility for a bombing on Saturday east of Baghdad. The attack killed at least 21 people and wounded at least 42 others, according to Iraqi police and hospital officials. ISIS described the attack as a 3-ton truck bombing. The attack targeted Shiite civilians shopping in an open-air market selling fruit, vegetables, and meat in Nahrawan. The ISIS statement and initial reports from local officials at the scene claimed the bombing targeted Shiite pilgrims walking to Baghdad's holy Kadhimiya shrine. And now turning to our Intifada update from the Times of Israel. Palestinian children participating in a festival in Gaza last week wore military fatigues and brandished toy knives and machine guns as they performed a play simulating violence against Israelis. The event was broadcast on Hamas television, according to Israel Channel 2 News. From Haaretz, throughout the holiday week, great efforts were being made by Israeli security forces to prevent attacks on Jewish visitors to Jerusalem, particularly in the Temple Mount area. The police presence was greatly reinforced, and Israel's security agency is taking part in extensive intelligence work along with the police. The ISA announced last Tuesday that the arrest of 3 West Bank residents who had come to the Jabal Mukaber neighborhood in eastern Jerusalem are suspected of planning an attack in Jerusalem. Dozens of Palestinians are detained every week following information, some of it on social media, suggesting that they are planning or considering terrorist attacks. On Wednesday, April 27th, from Ynet News, 2 Palestinians with knives were shot and killed by Israeli security forces at the Kalandia checkpoint north of Jerusalem. The 2, one female and one male, began to walk through a passage intended for vehicle entry and approached border policemen stationed at the scene. The female assailant threw a knife at the policeman closest to her, while the male was found to be carrying 2 knives. Then on Thursday, April 28th, from Israel Hayom, 2 female Palestinian terrorists armed with knives attempted to attack Israeli soldiers at a security checkpoint near Beit Haron in the West Bank. The 2 asked the soldiers for water and then tried to stab them. One of the women was also found to be carrying a syringe full of an undetermined liquid. Now turning to our review of last week's news. Federal agents arrested a man who was planning to throw an explosive device into a South Florida synagogue. U.S. Special Operations Forces have quietly killed 40 key ISIS operatives blamed for plotting deadly attacks in Europe and beyond. Great tensions are building over the Golan Heights, where there lies a potential of billions of barrels of oil. The IDF is preparing to strike an ISIS-affiliated group operating near its border with Syria if there were any indications of testing or using chemical weapons. Violence continues to escalate throughout Syria. Saddam Hussein's stash of chemical weapons beneath Damascus are a growing concern. Iran's oil exports to South Korea have more than quadrupled to 400,000 barrels per day since international sanctions were lifted. The UK Royal Air Force combat aircraft operating out of Cyprus dropped a pair of bunker buster 2,000-pound precision-guided munitions onto ISIS facilities in Iraq. An airstrike hit a hospital in Syria and killed 27 people, including children. The Syrian military is readying for an assault on the city of Aleppo. ISIS bombed a location east of Baghdad, killing at least 21 people and wounding at least 42 others. Palestinian children participating in a festival in Gaza wore military fatigues and brandished toy knives and machine guns as they performed a play simulating violence against Israelis. 3 West Bank residents suspected of planning an attack in Jerusalem were arrested. 2 Palestinians with knives were shot and killed by Israeli security forces. And 2 female Palestinian terrorists armed with knives attempted to attack Israeli soldiers at a security checkpoint. And that, my friends, is what the LameStream Media is not telling you. Abba willing, I'll see you here again next week. Until then, stay safe. Shalom.
Crowded rooms, I need more space than I consume. Enough is time alone with you, underneath the naked moon, sharing confidential moods and making chatter. Mockingbird nocturnal sings notations of eternal things, entering the quantum breeze, flying not for want of wings. He lights his gaze on you and me, simply because we matter.